The legal secretary of the Workmen's Accident Insurance Institute for the Kingdom of Bohemia in Prague enters the atrium of the hotel. Slender, sickly, his tall frame seems bowed under the weight of his title, but his dark, darting eyes and a boyish face as pale as milk take in the scene eagerly. What a fantastic place! The dream of a visionary American, the hotel has been under construction since the end of the war. A brochure lists its many firsts: an observatory, a radio station, a resident orchestra, Arnold Schoenberg conducting, an indoor health spa, bank kiosks open day and night for currency exchange. From the atrium, an escalator carries guests to the mezzanine, where a strange aeroplane is suspended, naked as a bicycle, like something designed by Da Vinci or a Cro-Magnon. Nothing like the machines the secretary saw at the Brescia Air Show years ago. The secretary likes hotels. He loses himself in their depths, their receding corridors, the chiming of lifts, the jangle of telephones, the thump of pneumatic tubes. It is the freedom of anonymity, with roast duck and dumplings on the side. A placard in the lobby proclaims in 4 languages, Conference of International Insurance Executives. Europe has gone mad for conferences. More placards welcome professional and amateur groups diverse as rocketeers, philosophers, alpinists, and the Catholic Total Abstinence Union. So many conferences are underway that the crowd seems formed of smaller crowds, intersecting, breaking apart, and reforming on their ways to meetings, meals, or diversions, jostling like bemused fowl. The falsity of public places, their implacable reality. Hotels he likes, but not conferences. His first was 8 years ago. Terrified beyond stage fright, he spoke on accident prevention in the workplace. He felt sure that the executives listening would fall on him and tear him apart when they understood what he was saying. But he was wrong. They recognized that with safer conditions, fewer claims would be filed. With a lawyer's cunning, the secretary had put altruism before them as self-interest. He felt such relief as he left the stage that he was unable to stay for the other talks. Laughter welled in him as he bolted for the door. That was 1913, the year his first book was published. Now, at 38, he's becoming known for his writing, but finds himself miserably unable to write. Summoned to the castle, but kept at the gate. And his time grows short. Last month at Matliari, he underwent another hopeless treatment. It rained the whole time. At the end of his stay, the weather cleared, he hiked in the mountains. On his return, Prague seemed more oppressive than the sanatorium, and some dybbuk of the perverse made him volunteer for this conference. The secretary pauses in the lobby at a display of models, marvels of America, of engineering, New York City. Finely carved ships are afloat in a harbor of blue sand. Pasteboard cliffs rise from the sand, buildings and spires surmount the island. In the harbor stands a crowned green female, Liberty, tall as a building, holding aloft a sword. Beyond a glass terrace is the hotel's deer park, an immense enclosed courtyard. On its grass, peacocks stride, tails dragging. One turns to face him, the iridescent blue of its chest, the pitiless black stones in its eyes. The sideboard in his suite holds flowers, a bottle of champagne, a bowl of oranges, a telephone. From his window, he sees a lake and thinks of Palestine. The gentleman from Hartford pauses at the cigar stand. A wooden Indian shades his eyes against the sun of an imaginary prairie. The gentleman purchases a panatella. A bold type on a magazine arrests his eye. Der Style. Opening it, he reads, "The object of this magazine will be to contribute to the development of a new consciousness of beauty." And on the facing page is a photograph of this very hotel. Beauty. Is that what surrounds him? He looks from the photo of the lobby into the lobby. He adds the magazine and a Paris Herald to his purchase, receiving in change a bright 1920 American dime. His wife, Elsie, regards him sidelong from its face. Crowds rush to their morning appointments. Mr. Stevens is free until lunch. In truth, his presence here is unnecessary to his agency's business, but he has developed a knack of absences from home and from his wife Elsie. His attention is taken by a scale model of the hotel itself, accurate even to the construction scaffolding over the entrance. Through a tiny window of the tiny penthouse, he sees two figures studying blueprints unfurled between them. In the magazine De Style, Stevens reads, "Like the young century itself, the hotel is a vortex of energies and styles. It thrusts upwards, sprawls sideways, even sends an arm into the lake, where a floating walkway winds through a houseboat colony designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, fresh from his triumphant Imperial Hotel in Tokyo. Many architects have been engaged, Gropius and Le Corbusier, de Klerk and Mendelssohn. They draw up plans, begin work, are dismissed or quit, so the hotel itself remains more an idea than a thing, a series of sketches of itself, a diffracted view, not unlike Monsieur Duchamp's notorious nude in the New York Armory show of some years ago. The hotel is a sort of manifesto in progress to a multiple futurism, as though the very idea of the modern is too energetic and protean to find a single unified expression. It occurs to Stevens that the hotel is unreal. Reality is an exercise of the most august imagination, and this place is a hodgepodge. It gives him a sense of his own unreality. Then again, the real world seen by an imaginative man may very well seem like an imaginative construction. He folds the magazine and looks for a place to smoke in peace. The senior partner of Ives and Myrick awakes right early. The morning light is somehow wrong. And where's Harmony, his wife? Outside, birds sing their dawn chorus, hitting all the notes between the notes. He remembers the two pianos in the Sunday school room of Central Presbyterian. One piano would fall in a quarter tone flat of the other. He tried out chords on the two of them at once, right hand on one, left on the other. Notes between notes, splendid new chords. Out of tune? What an idea! Can nature be out of tune? Now he remembers. The conference. It should be Mike Myrick here. He's better at this hail fellow well-met stuff. But Mike said Ives should go. Do you a world of good, Charlie. Write some music on the boat. Give Harmony some time off from you. Ives had been laid up for 3 months after his second heart attack. It wore Harmony out caring for him. Mike's right. She deserves a vacation from him. These memory lapses begin to worry him. He's 47 years old. He calls in sick a lot. He's not pulling his weight. His job, his future, how long can he keep it up? Shy Charlie, who's never sold a policy in his life, has come to this conference to prove the point, to himself he guesses, that he's still an asset to the agency and no loafer. Out of bed then. On the desk is the latest draft of his essay, The Amount to Carry, condensed for his luncheon talk. Just the key points. It is at once a mathematical formula for estate planning and a practical guide to making the sale. Sell to the masses, get into the lives of the people. In the last 12 years, Ives and Myrick has taken in $200 million. $2 million of that have gone to Ives himself. By any measure, he's a rich man, but still he dreads retirement, the end of his usefulness, of his strength. So he's making provisions. Much of his income now comes from renewal commissions. Normally, the selling agent gets a nice piece of change every time a policy is renewed, but that takes years. And the younger men are impatient, so they've been selling their commissions to him at a discount. A little irregular, perhaps, but they're happy to take the money. A man has to provide for his family. They adopted Edie 5 years ago, and her parents are still asking for help. It amounts to buying the child. But isn't Edie better off now? When Harmony lost their baby, she and Charlie wept night long. For a month, she lay in hospital. And from that day, he knew that they must carry one another. It scared him then, for two people to so depend. The money's for his music, too. It cost him $2,000 last year to print the Concord Sonata, and it will cost a sight more to bring out the songs. But the only way the Lily Boys and the Rollos will ever hear this music is if he prints it himself. He mailed 700 copies of the Concord to names culled from Who's Who and the Musical Courier's subscription list. Gave offense to several musical pussies. All those nice muse docks and ladybirds falling over in a faint at the sight of his manly dissonances. In open rehearsal last spring, the respected conductor Paul Eisler, holding a nice baton, led his new symphony through Ives' Decoration Day. Musicians dropped out one by one, till by the last measure, a violinist in the back row was the sole survivor. "There is a limit to musicianship," said Eisler coldly, handing the score back to him. A limit to someone's, anyway. Stevens locates an armchair. At one end of the bronze-trimmed parlor stands a potted palm in which a mechanical bird twitters silently. The dime is still in his hand. Surely she is beautiful. His wife Elsie, in a Phrygian cap, the Roman symbol of a freed slave. The master carving by Adolf Weinmann for the dime, 12 inches across, is on their mantelpiece in Hartford. Does Stevens oppress her? Does Weinmann think so? Is that the message of the cap? Its wings tempt confusion with Mercury, Hermes, messenger, god of merchants and thieves, patron of eloquence and fraud, holder of the caduceus whose touch makes gold. On the reverse, a bundle of sticks, Roman fasces. He tucks the coin into a vest pocket, feeling his ample flesh yield beneath the cloth. That monster, the body. He unfolds the herald. Victor Emmanuel III is losing power to black-shirted anarchists called fascisti. The Paris Peace Conference demands 132 billion gold marks in reparations from Germany, prompting a violent protest from the new chairman of the National Socialist German Workers' Party, some Berber with a Chaplain Hardy mustache. Stevens turns with relief to the arts section. New Beethoven biography by Thayer, new music festival in Donaueschingen, Caruso still being mourned. Play by Karel Čapek, R.U.R., opens in Prague. Review of Van Vechten's new book. Lately, Van Vechten suggested Stevens assemble a book of poems. He promised to give it some thought. It's time for his first book, whatever friction it causes with Elsie. Stevens is 42. At the Ahrensbergs once, Elsie said, "I like Mr. Stevens' writing when it is not affected, but it is so often affected." No, what she liked was being his sole reader. When he sent poems out, she resented it. He unrings the panatella, rolling it between his fingers as he turns titles in his mind. Supreme fiction. The grand poem, preliminary minutiae. How little it would take to turn poets into the only true comedians. It is hard to know what in the hotel is finished and what is in progress. The raw concrete walls of the natatorium may be a bold statement of modernity, or may await a marble cladding. The genius of the hotel may be precisely this ambiguity, this unwillingness to declare itself. The owner calls the hotel a machine for living away from home. The master plan calls for groundbreakings in 6 continents, every hotel different, yet with the same level of service. Even Antarctica, that chaos of ice and polar night, will one day fly the hotel's flag. Home, the owner believes, is an obsolete fiction.